Hi guys. I want to continue the talk I did the first part of with another video which centers on the um the way uh evil is deployed in most people. And I think we talked about the relativity of evil initially, and we talked about nature and its importance to moral philosophy and philosophy in general. Um, I want us to pick up from the very first point that I want to mention, which is historical necessity. Um, the Nazi of the World War II, they believed that they were the superior race. They were the race that was destined. Now, I wanted to mark the word destined in this sense that they were destined historically to rule the world. And one of this arrogance of existence uh, can take over collectively or individually to cause a sort of authoritarian or fascist regime. And but in any case, they believe that they were the race that was destined to take the human race to another phase of their unfolding. So this historical necessity, this something that has to be done or something that has to happen, that needs to happen for sort of historical unfolding of a people of or a group of peoples uh, um, is something that people pick up or some people hold in their hands as a justification of doing something. As for example, there are people that are able to do the dirty work for others to be able to feel as if they are holy. For example, in governing a set of people, it's not really something that is very easy. You, as a leader, especially in a very large scale, as a country, in a continent, in trying to govern this large scale of people, there are a lot of dirty things that politicians has to do in order to be able to make the ordinary man, the regular Joe, to live a carefree life or to live a life that seems to have a clear moral compass. So, for example, the US of A might start to use maybe illegal means that removes a sort of human right from their citizen in order to obtain information, in order to protect the same citizen, in order for the citizens to go to work every day, thinking that they are safe or not having this anxiety of getting bombed in their workplace. And the government have justification for this. For example, 9/11, and all these things are what the government can. There are other things that the government will do for every country that the government will do that they cannot be transparent with it um, with their citizens. So, in a certain sense, some people individually can occupy this space or this position of having to be the strong man to carry out the dirty work so that every other person might be able to live peacefully. That sort of attitude, can you can use it to explain what I'm trying to talk about with historical necessity, whereby some few group of people try to put the unfolding of history or to bring about something that they think is what is necessary in that particular time of in that particular time of history. They try to bring about it by putting themselves in a position of the strong man to carry out this hard or difficult task or something that is this dirty work, so to speak. So this can be a justification for what they do. They might say, okay, for example, the Boko Haram, they say the country, their region has been infiltrated by Western tradition and education that tend to make aberration of the different people, their culture, their religion, and they cannot take this anymore. And they feel that it is high time for them to change the ties to create something that they feel is supposed to be the case. Or so most of the time, this is another thing. Instead of the historical necessity to be leading to the future, sometimes they might think that it should be leading to the past, where they are safe, where they feel that, or to return to the place where before the aberration or before the deviation from traditional norms into Western civilization. So they feel that the historical necessity might lead them into a glorious future, or sometimes they feel that will lead them to a forgotten paradisical past, a past that is a sort of paradise, that is a sort of Eden. So that is for historical necessity. And it's for example, an individual might just want to, Napoleon, for example, a lot of other individuals that take after Napoleon, they feel that they are tasked with with the difficult the difficult place in history, or they are tasked to be the mover of history to a certain position, to a certain perspective. And so, in so doing, they lose track of what is good and evil. They are able to relieve their conscience. They are able to escape the burden of conscience by ascribing what they are doing or rationalizing it, or ascribing it to a certain idea that they are pushing, certain idea of the future, of the past, that they feel it is historically necessary to appear in the scene. So that is one. Another is ascribing this, or rather ascribing their desire to a sort of God, and not really some sort just plainly God or idea, like I've mentioned before. But then they assign this mandate. They say that they are giving this mandate from the Quran, from the Bible, from God of the Quran, from God of the Bible, from God of any form at all. They say that this is the mission that God has sent me, and because God has sent me this, I am safe from guilt. And to even think of it, the God that has sent them, the God that has mandated them to do this, that has given them the mantle to do this, is the one that gave the law, that asked to be that have asked of them some moral demands, that have said to them to be good, to be empathic with their neighbors, to love their neighbor as their self. So there's a certain paradox here, but the paradox that is able to nullify itself, that is able to annul itself in this sense, whereby if the God that said I should not kill, or we all should not kill, commands me to do so, I'll be able to do so. And we can even say the same of the government in general, of social organization in general. Because in social organization, so that anarchy will not break out, there is a removal of rights from the individual and an investment of that right in the collective, whereby the government is able to punish whosoever err of a particular law, is able to kill, is able to oppress whosoever do not fit into the picture of a citizen that the government put forward. Is able to do this, but the individual is not able to do this. For example, if somebody comes, I'll give you an example. If somebody comes into your house and kill your father, your mother, God forbid, I guess. They'll kill your father, your mother, your brothers and sister, and left you alive for you to suffer that. the pain of that loss. And all of a sudden, things played out, and you were able to access some sort of a gun or something, and then you went to that person and killed the person as a form of revenge. If you go to the court, you will be sentenced to jail for killing the person, regardless of what the person has done to you, regardless of if you are doing it out of revenge. So the right for you to avenge yourself has been taken from you and given to the government. So, in a certain sense, the right for you to do something that is evil, the right for you to do something that is not good, will be taken from you and given to the God that has given you the mandate to do this. And coming back to my idea, whereby people say they get mandate from God, or their mission, the mission, their diabolic mission is an instruction from God. And I talked about nature too, that nature has said this, that a lot of great people are not able to do what they want to do and ascribe this action to themselves and be able to stand with their action without fear. And this is why he called for the death of God, though. That's very popular with Nietzsche, and he said that God is dead. Because if there is no God, you'll be able to stay with your conscience. Whatsoever you do, you'll be able to say that, yes, I did it. I am evil, and I love to be evil. It seems I'm romanticizing villains that are aware of themselves, that just know that they are bad. So they don't try to pretend that they are good. They don't try to rationalize it. They don't try to say it is because of a historical necessity. It is because of bad governance. It is because of this and that. It is because of God has told me to do this. It is because of God has mandated me to bring the unbelievers into the fold, and so on and so forth. So Nietzsche is saying that there are a lot of great people. Those these great people can be divided into good and bad. But then there are a lot of great people that have to pass through a second-handed circuit whereby they have to go and ascribe it to God first before they cannot do what they want to do. Because whenever you do what you want to do, it seems selfish. It seems as if your conscience starts to judge you because it is the way the world works. So this is what I'm trying to bring out, that the repression on evil can be circumvented if you can ascribe it to a God that gave the order or the law that oppresses this type of action. I hope I'm making sense. But in any sense, if you did not get it, just uh, write to me, comment on these, and then we'll sort it out on the comment section. So outside of ascribing it to historical necessity, to God, to an idea, to etc., there is also something else whereby people feel that they are pardoned to do or to do bad because they have done some good. A lot of politicians are like this, whereby they go to a community and share bag of rice and a lot of other food stuff for people. And in doing this, they relieve their conscience of the bad that they've done. They do this as sort of absolution of the bad that they've done before. Or after doing this, they feel that they have the right to do good things. So some people believe that the amount of good and the amount of bad that they do has to be on the conscience scale. What I mean by the conscience scale is that if your good is higher or is bigger in magnitude to your bad, there is a sort of relief of conscience where you can live with yourself. And if you believe in the afterlife, that there's a justification for you entering uh, the good side of the afterlife, if that is so. But if it is not, that your bad outweighs your evil, these people that have this, they've been able to get to a position in moral growth of personality, the personal moral growth, where they believe that one is not entirely good or entirely bad. They know, they have accepted that they can do good and they can do bad. But then they try to look for balance where the good it always outweighs the bad, where the good, for example, the brighter the light, the harder it is for you to see the darkness behind the light. How am I making sense? So the higher the good, the harder it is for you to see the bad that's behind the good. So there are a lot of motives that one can, maybe I will touch on how motives can make what we do good or bad. But in any sense, let me first of all make sure that we are able to explain this in a very simple way. So how am I making sense? This last point is an individual own where inside the moral compass of the individual there is a flickering where the desired point is when the hand of the compass is always go is more to the good side than to the bad side. Another way of looking at this is, for example, I will give you an example, which is very which makes morality kind of skewed. Um, I will give you an example. Let's say you, as a person, have a friend that you are indebted to, you are loyal to in a certain sense, because the friend has been very pivotal in your own growth as a person. And you come home one day and realize that your friend is fighting with someone else. And you heard the story, you realize that your friend is actually wrong in this story, your friend is wrong, and that she is about to get the repercussion, the consequence of acting the way he has done in that particular situation. But as they are reaching to you for a judgment of the matter, you cannot afford to make your friend wrong, or you cannot afford to publicly say that your friend is wrong. You have to side with him, and if it comes to physical altercation, you have to also side with him in this sense. Now, the loyalty is a good virtue. We know this. But then, like every other virtue, the extremism of it brings about a sort of moral contradiction. It's exactly what I'm trying to say. That, for example, there is a sort of loyalty that comes with whether it's love or respect, but the mystery of all. I cannot come home and realize that they are fighting my mom, and then start to ask questions, start to become the judge. I'm not a judge in that sort of situation. I will fight first, and then after we fought, we cannot start talking about what happened. In the sense that I will fight for my mother first. You understand this? So there is no moral standing here. I do not want to know who has done good, who has done bad. So the sense of loyalty might bring about a sort of contradiction in your moral standing. You see, now where evil starts is this. I've watched a movie whereby the father, in order to try to cover up the crime that the child has done because of love and stuff, loyalty to something, in sense, the love does not make sense. It doesn't really make sense in moral standing to a certain extent because of love that the father has to start killing and start committing crimes of his own to cover up this, regardless of even this attitude, this particular behavior of killing is not sort of the default setting of the father. So there's that. I'm trying to bring out the ways in which we do evil and try to rationalize it. So there are other different ways in which this is done. So another way is sometimes when we talk about this, especially in this particular time in Nigeria, where terrorism, armed gunmen, and kidnapping, killings are rampant everywhere in Nigeria, especially in the north. We seem to think that this is only restricted to the last scale on the religious and tribal extremism of people. No, in our businesses, in the way in which we pursue money, which is something that is kind of inherent to capitalism. But in the way we pursue money in our everyday life, you realize that the way we do this in a very selfish way that and that tries to rationalize the way the method to us. For example, I will give you an example so that I will not be speaking a lot of English. Um, you go to people that sells phone, people that sell, especially in very busy areas in the market, different marketplaces. Uh, they are always trying to cheat you. In fact, if you are not very sharp, they will cheat you in a way that you will never. There's a place in Benin where I grew up where the cell phone they can cheat you to the extent that they will sell phones for you that has eba inside, that has fufu inside, that they filled with garri, that there's nothing inside. There's a way they are able to do this. It's kind of talent, but then people have suffered from this. You understand? Now they are always trying to cheat. If they are not trying to cheat you on this, on the set of product they are giving you, they are trying to increase the money that they will get. They are trying to disproportionate. Let me not use grammar that will cost my tongue. They're trying to do this. They're trying to get profit in a way that is very greedy. You understand this? Even the shops will increase their prices because of not just to get the money, or because of the demand is high and the goods is scarce. They'll be able to just maximize this, and in so doing, not thinking about how it has affected other people. But they have a way of rationalizing this. For example, somebody will tell you that if you're not smart, a mugu. So understand that sense, that's a term mugu feels that you are not smart enough to fall, or to be able to dodge 419, or to be able to dodge to be cheated. Do I have to be smart? Jesus Christ, my smartness is for me, whether I'm smart or not. But then what about your moral standards? What about your own conscience? Whether I'm smart or not is something different from you. So my dumbness should even elicit a sort of sympathy in you and empathy in you. But then it does not do this. It's like sort of a license. It's your own excuse. It's your own historical necessity. It's your own God. It's something that I've given you the mandate to even cheat me. Imagine that. So in our different ways in which we go about our lives, there are ways in which we rationalize what we do, even when we know it is evil. And there is a sort of paradox in the Christian uh, grace, or rather, in the Christian forgiveness of sin, or lenieness in sin, whereby people can commit sin from Monday to Friday, on Saturday or Saturday and Sunday, ask for forgiveness. In fact, it can be some sort of how the church is started, whereby in the morning, where the morning prayer begins with a supplication, or begins with asking for forgiveness from all you have done. So, as in fact, as soon as you leave that church, you continue with that sort of behavior, because you know that there is a facility called grace in Christendom, and that facility enables you to be able to come back when you've gone wrong, or when you've gone astray. No matter the amount of time, regardless of the in fact, with an active ignorance of the fact that the Bible even says, "Can you continue in sin that grace may abide?" Who say no? But then that is aside. The same way a lot of religious extremists in Islamic religion are able to take a part of the Quran and emphasize it, blow it out of proportion in order to be able to, in order for that passage to sanction their evil doing. I think I started this podcast talking about the relativity of morality. I have not exhausted all the ways in which we try to circumvent our moral standings, or our moral failures. I've not exhausted it, but I think I've been able to see one or two things. And well, I want to round it off by talking about the bottomless footing of morality in itself, which I had mentioned initially when I said that morality is relative. That is, it does not have a ground. Most people, when I try to believe, the psychologists, the primatologists, and so on and so forth, they might try to see the way good is deployed in the animal world and say that good is biological or morality is biological, whereby the elephant, we had the baby elephant, and you see conscience in them. You whereby, for example, the bonobo, like a study carried out, the bonobo ape, when someone, one of their should I say, their a group of monkeys called, it's not called park, um but in any sense, one of the apes in their group has been unfairly treated. For example, the lower ranking ape might just be passing, and the alpha ape sees this, and because it's in a bad mood, you just start pounding the lower ranking ape. The alpha ape will just start pounding the lower ranking ape. And when after this happens, they realize that some female in the group will come and groom that lower ranking ape that has been pounded, in the sense of pick out insects from their fur or from the hair on their body. So somehow it kind of signal that they have a sort of sympathy, and so a sense of morality, a sense of being treated wrong or right. However you put it, whether it is elephants helping themselves or apes treating themselves to a sort of groaning, it doesn't really matter. Morality in itself, morality has a sort of shaking foundation. And I akin it to to sexuality, that there is not really, it's not like it comes follow con, there's not that there's something that is follow con, that as soon as you are born as human being, you know what is good and what is right. Nah, in fact, the majority of what is good and what is right that we think is restricted to region. There are some regions that think that this is good, and some region, and it's in fact it is restricted to the particular time in history. For example, what was good in 1940 or what was good in 1920 is not what is good in 2025. It's not what will be good in 2026. So, especially because we speak, especially because we are swimming in a very large language model. Well, for example, it's like our culture is a lot of symbols that tells us this is what is right and this is what is wrong. And though it differs individually, but in the end, it's not something that is biological. And because it is not something that is biological, we have to narrate it. We have to use one or two ways. We have to write it down. We have to teach it from generation to generation. We have to use stories to teach morality. We have to be able to use our artificial language or symbolic or cultural means to be able to carry it from one generation to the other so that it will not fall apart. Now, regardless of this, it still falls apart in many aspects and many ways. So I will stop this recording here. I would love to hear your questions. And this recording is also related to a talk I had with Ayodeji Emmanuel Desmond, where we discussed the insecurity in Nigeria presently, and how it has come about, and the place of conscience of evil, and how to think about it in respect to all these insecurities. And I would advise that you look at those videos too. It will create a coherent whole of all the videos, both this personal video and the one I did with him. Thank you.